Can Target keep climbing higher and higher? Here's one retailer I like so much that we own it big for my charitable trust. You can follow along at actionalertsplus.com. Not only is Target incredibly well run, but the company reported a terrific quarter at the end of February. And even after running up within a couple of bucks of its 52-week highs, this stock still remains darn cheap. Less than 15 times next year's estimates, solid 2.7% yield. Now, earlier today, I got a chance to chat with Brian Cornell. He's the terrific chairman and CEO who's masterminded an amazing, short, took very little time, turnaround at Target. Take a look. All we ever hear about these days is online shopping. Brian, one of the things that you stood for is there's no substitute for human interaction. Why does it really matter still?
Well, it's important, Jim, because we know the majority of our guests still come to our stores. In fact, across the United States, we know 90% of shopping is still done in a physical store. So experience counts, and we never forget that.
All right, well, I start with that because you've had a remarkable turn, and it's based on the idea that bricks and mortar can still be a win, and yet you have the fastest growing digital, both online and offline, including Amazon. How are you melding these two?
Well, we spent a lot of time talking to the consumer, understanding the guest, and what we've realized is we've got to make it really easy for today's consumer to shop anytime, any way they want. So sometimes they're going to be in our stores, other times they're going to be on their phone, clicking, placing an order, come by at their convenience and pick it up, and sometimes they just want it shipped right to their home. So we've got to make sure experience counts, whether they're in store or shopping online.
And experience counts in terms of the numbers too. I'm thinking about the Bullseye Playground out front. I'm thinking about what you're doing with Swim, what you're doing with Pillow Fort. I'm seeing, I know it's early, but seeing dramatic double-digit gains in those portions of the store.
Well, I personally have been focused on the front of store experience.
Okay.
It's the first thing you see.
Right.
And for a number of years, we had something called the One Spot.
Yeah.
And it worked. It was actually a big, sizable business for us and pretty profitable. Mm-hmm. But we challenged ourselves to reimagine that. And just before the holidays, we launched something we call Bullseye's Playground. Brought our mascot into the fold, and it's unlocked enormous sales gains. And the guest sees it. It's their first reaction when they come to Target. They see our dog, they see Bullseye's Playground, and then great value and excitement. And it's the first place they stop. So since we've done that, Jim, we've seen 25 and 30% increases every week. But it's that first impression that for us really counts.
Where else are you seeing 25? What other parts? Apparel, which a lot of people have given up on. You've got areas of apparel, whether it be swim, some other areas that are very exciting, where you're getting those kinds of large gains.
Well, we've been a leader in swim for a long time, and we regained our #1 position last year. But we're off to a great start, and it's really led by the online shopper. And with swim, that's where you get the first indication. So we're seeing big double-digit gains in swim, and we want to make sure we're delighting that guest in apparel. So you know, last year, we invested in mannequins.
Right.
We've got new home vignettes. And once we put them in place, we realized we had to have the right team in our stores to maintain that. So we invested in visual merchandising and put 1,400 experts inside of our stores so that back to experience, every time you shop, those mannequins look great, the home vignettes look great, the experience is there to remind the guests there's lots of great things to discover at Target.
Now, the experience is also there where I want it. I live in the suburbs. I got a Target Great Land. It's fantastic. It's fun. It's always different. It's a great experience. You're putting some Targets now where my kids are, in cities where you didn't think that there could be a big enough footprint for Target. You're changing your format. Well,
we're following the consumer. Okay. And we both know that the U.S. consumer's moving back to urban centers.
Right.
You know, we know 75% of millennials, if you talk to them today, they want to live in cities and around college campuses. So we're just simply following the consumer. And we've recognized to do that, we've got to custom tailor our stores to fit that local market. So I can't find 10 acres in New York City or Chicago, but I can find some great neighborhood locations where I might have a 10 or 15 or 20 or 30,000 square foot store that's got assortment that's customized for the local community, but it's right there where that consumer lives.
Downtown New York?
Downtown New York, Tribeca, in October. And as soon as we made that announcement, I'm getting emails from local consumers in that neighborhood saying, thank you for bringing Target to our neighborhood. And that's the approach we're taking.
Well, you know, that's a young neighborhood. It's where people have children. And this is where you get that lifetime value of a customer. I know you're interested in baby, kids, wellness. It's an arc of who's coming, and then right to college. These are the interactions where you nail them before others?
Well, it is, but it's also back to, Jim, making sure the assortment's right for the local community. So Tribeca, baby is going to be really important.
Right.
It's going to be a family store. On the college campuses, now University of Maryland, it's a very different assortment. I've got to have the right home essentials. Technology is important. Food plays a different role. So we've got to make sure we're customizing our assortment in those flexible formats to really represent the local consumer we serve. So every one of them has to be custom tailored. We opened up a location in Chicago on Streeterville by the Navy Pier. One of the first things I heard when I talked to the team about what assortment do we need to add was they said, Brian, you need converters and adapters. And I'm sitting there saying, converters, adapters, why? Well, it's all the tourists that are down there for the Navy Pier. They're stopping in our stores saying, all right, do you have a converter? Do you have an adapter? So every market's a little different, and we've got to make sure we are customizing the assortment to meet the local needs.
Now, one of the things that I've been concerned about when I go to retail these days is how do you get people who are interesting enough, nice enough, that I want to interact with them? A very large company that we know, the largest retailer in the country, has a reputation these days of struggling trying to get people that we want to communicate with. Target, no. How do you get these associates? What special do you offer them that they want to work at Target?
Yeah. Well, we've had a history of attracting one of the best teams in retail. In fact, I sit here today feeling as if I've got the best team in the retail industry. And we create a great environment. We invest in our people, in development, in training. Last week alone, we had hundreds of our team members in Minneapolis for a full week of training. So we've got to invest in that talent, make sure they know they've got a career with our company, and make sure when they come to work, they come to work there to serve our guests.
All right, now at the same time, obviously we got to care about shareholders. You're returning a lot of capital back to the old days of a growth stock with a good dividend and buyback.
That's how I look at it today, Jim. I mean, we are clearly focused on growth. And as I think about where we are today, it's a growth story. And it's about a consistent growth company that provides a great return for our shareholders, but is focused on our guests. And I think for us to unlock consistent growth, every day we've got to get up and recognize what our consumers need, what the target guest needs, and it really fuels our strategy. So we start with our guests, we think about our team members, and ultimately, that provides a great return for our shareholders.
Okay, last question. I know that what you have done is very similar to what Disney's done and what Procter done, which are two great American consumer companies. You try to have tentpole brands, billion-dollar brands. How many are in the store? How many do you think are going to be in the store this time next year?
Well, this time next year, you're going to see at least 2 new billion-dollar brands, and we're really excited about it. And for most people, you don't talk about billion-dollar brands.
Were they secret?
Well, we announced a couple of weeks ago, Pillow Fort.
Right.
Our new brand for kids and home.
Okay.
And the early reaction has been sensational.
Okay.
And then we're just about to launch a brand in apparel called Cat and Jack, which we think will drive tremendous interest in our apparel line for kids. So, when I talk to our team, I remind them, not everybody can introduce billion-dollar brands. And we're focused on, again, delivering against what the consumer needs, what our guest is asking for, and I'm really excited about the work the team's done.
It's an amazing reinvention. Congratulations. The numbers are dictating that. That's Brian Cornell, the chairman and CEO of Target. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Jim.
Booyah! Jim Cramer here from Mad Money. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube. Click here to subscribe and get the jump on my exclusives with CEOs, plus market news, investing advice, and a whole lot more.